Hello everyone, this is Obscure Nick, and this is my first video. Today we are going to talk about what really happened on the set of Zoey 101 during its first season. So for those of you who don't know what Zoey 101 is, Zoey 101 is the Nickelodeon show from the mid-2000s that starred Britney Spears' little sister, Jamie Lynn Spears. Ever since the Zoey 101 reboots and reunions have been happening, we're hearing a lot more about the experience and the tea of it all, of what happened on set. So first off, Nikolas spoke her experience on a live stream from August 2019.
Your character looks so happy all the time.
I know that's the sad part about it. It's Nicole's a beautiful, amazing, sweet friend, person, character that I love deeply, and I still have aspects of Nicole.
So Nikolas played Nicole on Zoey 101. She's an actress. She was also in The Walking Dead and Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. She has retired from acting since, but she did speak her experience on set of Zoey 101. I do believe what she experienced was pretty much the truth of it all. I was on forum boards back then when I was younger and stuff, and on different news sites that reported that Jamie Lynn and Alexa had a fight in August of 2005. So that would have been 14 years prior. And I didn't believe it was real, and I didn't believe that Britney Spears' little sister would tell her that she will never have a career or whatnot. But when Alexa spoke it all just came together. From that live stream, I do think there are a few pieces missing that would make her story make even more sense and make sense of other people's stories and experiences from that set, because I do believe that there are a lot of people that are victims to mind manipulation that happened on that set, and we're gonna find out. A lot of the information I'm going off of is based off of Nikolas' experience and other information that I've gathered over time.
I got the show and was super excited. I was more excited to meet people my age because I was homeschooled a lot of my life, and I wasn't around a lot of people my age. I kind of grew up more around adults, and so I never really had the opportunity to know about people that were my age. And so getting into that experience with Zoey 101, I was super excited.
So the first real key thing that is being said in the clip is that Alexa did not grow up around kids, she grew up around adults, which to me, it tells me when kids don't grow up around other kids, they don't have the same experience. So from a psychological point of view, she did not know how to necessarily interact or approach her other castmates who were her age or younger. So she struggled with that naturally based off just her own experiences. And in some ways, she was more emotionally mature than them than in others. Another thing that she said was that she was interested in politics, talking with Sean Flynn about that, which to me, again, what usually age 12 and 13-year-olds are not really engaged with politics and the world around us that much yet. So for her to be interested in that was just because of the adult naturally from the environment she grew up in. Now, in the first season, there was this character named Dana. And Dana was played by Kristen Herrera, who was a Puerto Rican Mexican actress who was only in the first season of Zoey 101, but she also did other roles like Freedom Writers and General Hospital, but she retired from acting in 2008. She departed from Zoey 101. The rumor was always that she was too old for the role, but I'm gonna say this, I have some inside information from someone who worked on that set. I'm not gonna say who, I'm just gonna keep it anonymous. And that person told me that the producers and Dan S, I'm gonna just say DS because I don't feel comfortable saying his name in full. So she had a tendency of forgetting lines allegedly, just from what this person told me, and it would kind of cut their filming time short, or they'd be stressing about getting it cut short because of the child labor laws to not overwork a child past a certain time. So they wanted to get rid of her. And in my opinion, I believe Kristen would have thrived if she was worked on more hands-on, and more of the adults in the situation would have helped her. Any good writer or producer would have helped her. You know, there's so many people in the industry. I get that they do have a budget so they could afford to replace her, but in most good producers and actors that work in the independent industry would try to help her versus get rid of her. And they would, you know, they would try to work with her and try to figure different ways of getting her to remember her lines, or using cue cards, or having them under like a plate or something for her to remember them. It's possible, anyone can improve. They just need to be worked on, and they need to work for it as well. Side story, I worked with an actor who had no experience. No one believed in him. So I worked on this web series with him, and I just helped him with his lines, and you know, we worked on it every day after school, and eventually he became really amazing at it, and he became like a pro, and he knew all the ins and outs of it. So it's possible anyone could improve on their skill. If you watch the first season, as the first season progresses, you see that Dana's lines are very cut short, especially in Little Beach Party. She barely has any lines at that point. Like, it's very short lines, 1 or 2 words, and that's it. DS's shows, usually when someone's about to get cut, they usually have minimal lines. Angelique Bates, from All That, in the season 2 near the end, she began having, like, very minimal lines. Watch The Wizard of Oz script, she only has 1 line, and that's it. And Dan's in the show more than she is. From what you guys told me on Instagram, and I'm just going based off of what a lot of people that have talked with Kristen or have seen Instagram comments, whatever, have told me that she said that she stated she left for family reasons. When family reasons or issues become on these shows, from what we learned from past experience, Angelique Bates' experiences, when it was a family issue, helicopter parent mode, which means they're not gonna leave an eye off their kids. Also, the recent Tracy Brown story where that mom of Brian Hearns from All That as well, said that she wasn't gonna let anything happen to her boy, pretty much. And so when those types of parents are involved, they get fired. And that's what happened to Angelique and Tracy. So that's what I'm guessing happened here. And I could see that being an implication. And I've seen stories of Christians where she's with her parents at like New Year's and stuff. So she's still on good terms with her parents and everything. Another pattern that is very key, that seems to be constantly happening on DS's show productions and Nickelodeon show productions in general, is a play of racism. And from what Tracy Brown said, her son to her it felt always racial because her son was the only black boy in the group. And for them to not say he was valued felt very racial to her.
Let me tell you something. It felt also very racial to diminish the black boy in the group. Mm-hmm. It felt very racial too. Mm-hmm. Like to say to the only black boy in the group, we don't value you. Mother and me should have been valued, should have been respected.
And my son should have been valued and respected.
My son.
And how many opportunities?
Should have been valued. Like you. How many opportunities? Like, how dare you fire him? Because
with that being said,
use him for your purposes.
Especially being a woman, I find, especially being Puerto Rican Mexican, I could see Kristen being targeted for this as well. Dan, some writers that work for him, recently said that he is not the biggest fan of women and he doesn't think women are funny. Also, Angelique Bates, being a woman of color, having a very similar story. The Amanda Show Extra that I did a thread on 2 years ago came to me and said that it was noticeable that the women of color would disappear easier and would get fired quicker with their experience that they had. And it's noticeable in Zoey 101 because there was also that Vicky girl in early season 1, and there was another black girl in the early season 1. And then by the end, it's all like very white-centric. I think also it's just odd if it wasn't racial as well. Why would they replace Kristen with a white woman? No disrespect to Victoria Justice, no shade, no tea. I love Victoria. She's very nice. I've had interactions with her before. She's a very nice lady. But I'm just saying from a racial standpoint, for them to go ahead and say, to replace her with a white woman, to me, that's also very racial. As well, Raquel Lee, who worked on The Amanda Show, confirmed that her firing came off as very racial, even though they gave her another reason. And I do believe women of color in the industry are discriminated against. Full 100%. It is everywhere, whether we see it or not. It's systemic racism, okay? On Alexa's live stream, she said that Kristen threw her into the rocks on the last episode when they filmed. Kristen had denied it and addressed it on her Instagram that she never threw Alexa in the rocks. In my opinion, I don't think anyone would go out of their way to throw someone in the rocks for no reason. There had to be a reason behind it, but here is the clip.
Zoey and Dana in real life, which was Jamie and Kristen, started acting kind of like as a unit, and I was kind of left out. And they would have sleepovers and all these different things, and then I was never invited to any of them. But it started to escalate. And all of a sudden, every day I was on set, they would kind of team up together and tell me if I was like an alien because I was so nice. And I would cry to my mom every night, and my mom finally reached out to, the adults that were behind the camera. And literally every single adult was like telling my mom that I need to grow up, which, okay, that's totally fair, but I was 12 years old and I wasn't grown up yet. And I was balancing having to be a certain way on screen and balancing like how I was emotionally being charged. The last episode of the first season, there was an episode where me and Dana basically go behind a rock and then like emerge from behind these like huge rocks in Malibu. Or Zuma Beach. I think it was Zuma Beach. We had to like come around them. And it was just me and her, and I was so nervous to be like alone with her because the cameraman and everybody else was very, very, very far away. And we had to like run. We go behind the rock and there's nobody there. She pushes me into the rocks. Just started telling me some like not so nice things, and I heard action. And then we had to like run and pretend we were like friends all of a sudden, which was a trip. And we did the scenes, and then afterwards like ran to my mom and I told her, and then obviously she went to the adults of the show and told them like this is what happened, and I don't feel like my daughter's safe anymore because now everyone's kind of not being so kind to her. And what is this about? And so we need to have a mediator. Like somebody has to sit down with them and have them talk to each other and just settle it. Like Alexa doesn't not like anybody. Like it seems like everyone's just not liking her, and like why don't we just have a conversation about it? So my mom kept begging for a conversation, but nobody wanted to have the conversation. So eventually I found out right before season 2 that Dana was no longer on the show.
And what I think happened is I feel producers knew how Alexa was extremely emotional, and they wanted to get rid of Kristen because of the delay, and they found her to be the first one to go. And so I believe, since from Alexa's story, the PA and producers and other people on set have a lot of interplay with what happens. I mean, the PA was part of the setup with Jamie, Britney, and Alexa. I could see someone saying to Kristen, it could be Jamie, it could be DS, it could be DS's people, that Alexa said something about Kristen and maybe manipulated it fully to get her really upset. This is just a theory. This is just my theory. Don't take it as fact. But from a psychological standpoint, this makes sense to me. They knew Alexa would tell someone because she said in her live stream that she was telling her mom and getting her mom to have conversations. And once someone gets on set, gets dangerous, they have a reason to get rid of her fully. Also, I question why this happened on the last episode. Why didn't this just happen before? Why is it all of a sudden someone got mad at her on the last episode if there wasn't something being put at play here to manipulate someone else to get rid of a certain someone? Now, I do also have a theory that Jamie Lynn did not like Alexa. Jamie and Kristen, worked as a unit. Jamie Lynn could have wanted to get rid of Alexa and said something to Kristen, and that's what could have happened. I do think something was said to Kristen. If the throwing the rocks happened, this is all allegedly, but this is just my theory on what Alexa has said and what I got from the inside information, all theory here, so don't take it as fact, it's all allegedly. Also, I want to say, I do not think pushing someone is ever acceptable, no matter how mad we are, so please don't do that. And, you know, like I said, this is all allegedly. When we get into season 2 of what happened on Zoey 101, noticeable pattern of this happening at the end of every season of Zoey 101, which is very odd to me. Overall, I think Kristen could have been set up. I do think they wanted to get rid of her because of her skill. I don't think it was just a skill set. I think it was also because she may have had helicopter parents. I do believe someone said something to her, and because I've had interactions with her. She seems like a nice girl to me, but the pushing in the rocks thing is like, no, that's not okay. But I don't know if that happened. But I also think have had interactions with Alexa, and I think she's a nice girl as well. But you know, this happened so long ago. I don't think Kristen will ever say her story. I think she said that she doesn't want to start any drama, so please don't message her about this because I don't think she's going to answer it personally. I think she wants to just be at peace. She doesn't want to bring... And I think the reason why she denied it is because she'll have to bring out this whole thing about, you know, the parents, her parents and stuff, and, you know, them protecting her from these people. And then she has to bring up DS, and she doesn't want to deal with that. She's not ready to tell her story. I don't know if she will ever tell her story, but, you know... If she ever tells her story, we'll report it right here at Obscure Nick. Thank you guys for tuning in to my first video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.